Thanks. I almost introduced myself again for the third time, but that would be really embarrassing. I've been coming to the Hero Roundtable for 10 years. I've been on 3 continents giving talks with Matt and members of this gang. I was actually the first speaker at the first Hero Roundtable in 2013, and I was terrible. Whew. So bad. It's gotten a little bit better since then, but at that time, I was finishing up a book that I had been writing for probably 7 years, and it was a book on classical heroism. So I was looking at ancient Greece, and there's the book on the big screen. And it came out a few years later. But I'd been studying Greek philosophy and Greek epic poetry to look at what the ancients thought about heroic behavior, and I realized I don't have a clicker, so click. And I learned a lot. I really I didn't know much about heroic behavior when I got started. I had some ideas and came up with a definition of heroism that looks like this. Basically, the idea that you have to have risk, you have to have danger, adversity. Thank you so much. Yeah, appreciate it. And you have to be courageous. You have to be brave. You have to sacrifice, and you have to do it for some greater good. There's a principle, or you're helping other people. And so I got really interested in this concept, and I felt like I learned a lot about the way that people used to think about heroes, but I was interested in the way that people now think about heroes and what that means for us. So I started to do research into the idea of moral courage and heroic behavior. And what occurred to me at that point was that there were lots and lots of examples of ordinary people who were doing really extraordinary things. And then the question was, when we hear those stories, when we learn about those people, what does that mean for us? What does it do for us? It should, of course, inspire us to be like them. Right? We see these great examples and we think, how can I do that? How can I be like those people? And of course, often we aren't like those people. We feel like we're somehow smaller than them. We're not able to do the things that they do. When we hear these stories about kind of the great exemplars of moral courage, we think to ourselves, we should think to ourselves, what would I do if I was in that situation? I don't know if you know any of these people. If you do, talk to me about it afterward. If you don't, well, also talk to me about it afterward. This is Andrei and Magda Trachme, Holocaust rescuers from France. Václav Havel, the great democracy activist from Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic, and Ken Saro-Wiwa, the peace and environmental activist from Nigeria. We think that we're going to, if we find ourselves in that situation, we think we're going to do the things that those people did. We never imagine that somehow we wouldn't respond to other people who need us. But unfortunately, the research out there shows us that we're unlikely to do the heroic thing. We're unlikely to race to help others. And what we know is that in all of the stories about people acting heroically, there are lots of people nearby who didn't. This is a story that I think gets told quite a lot. It's a bit old now, but this is Wesley Autry, who jumped in New York, jumped down off of a subway platform when someone fell, and there was an oncoming train, and he put himself directly in harm's way, covered that person up, and the train rolled over them. They both survived. It was an incredible story. But the part that I always sort of fixate on is that there were lots and lots of other people who were standing right there. One person acted, so many other people didn't. This is, of course, the problem of bystanders. And when we hear about bystanders, when we hear about the bystander effect, we think that's other people, not me. I'm going to do the brave thing. I'm going to be the hero. I'm going to make that morally courageous choice. Nobody ever says, I know this about myself. I am a meek person. I will be a bystander, right? That's not what we think. When you look at yourself in the mirror, when you get ready in the morning, you're like, I can't wait to go out there and maybe not help people who need it. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. We think we're good people. We're going to do the good thing. But the pull of the bystander effect is incredibly strong, and it's really, really, really strong when there's danger involved, when there's risk involved, when you have to sacrifice. Will it work? It will. There are some things that I think we can learn from this puzzle. No matter how much we believe we would do what extraordinary people have done, we should understand that there is a big pull making it hard for us to do that. But those people who did those extraordinary things, they're ordinary people like us. There's not some special genetic marker for people who do heroic things, but they broke through that bystander effect. So the question is, how do they do that? What can we do? The answer is practice. You have to do things in order to make this happen, right? If you want to be that kind of person. And so I'm going to give you 4 things in the next 5 minutes that you can actually do that work to make it more likely that you'll be that person that you see in the mirror when you get ready in the morning. You're the person who's going to help. The first is to have heroes. This is very, very easy. You're here and you're hearing from people who have interesting stories, and you can learn about those people, right? Matt Osman this morning showed you these books that he and Matt Langdon put together. You can find those books. They're on Amazon, and they've got great pictures and really good stories about people who did extraordinary things. And you can read about them, you can learn about those people, and you can try to figure out for yourself why they did what they did. How did they break through that bystander effect? How did they take that risk, put themselves in that situation, and do this impressive thing? But pick your heroes carefully. You want to make sure you're picking the right ones, right? There are lots of people who do impressive things, but that's not necessarily going to help you when it comes time to do something that requires moral courage, right? So you might pick a great basketball player, a great actor, a great musician, but I'm not going to, I love the great basketball players. It turns out I'm not going to, despite all of my best efforts, have a professional basketball career. And so I know it's hard to imagine, but that's why it's really important to pick people who are doing those things that you really aspire to do, right? That you think you can do, like help other people. So I put LeBron up there with Oskar Schindler. The thing about Oskar Schindler, though, is he was not perfect. He rescued a lot of people during a terrible time. He put himself in great danger to do that. But in lots of other ways, he was an incredibly morally problematic person. And it's important to understand that. Our heroes aren't perfect. If we require our heroes to be perfect people, we'll see all of them fail. There's no such thing. Nobody's perfect. And so recognizing that people can do something really impressive, something heroic at one moment, and then other things that are maybe even bad, that's okay. Focus on the heroic thing and how they did that thing, recognizing that they are complex people just like we all are. The next thing to do, right, I promised you 4. Here's number 2. Be uncomfortable. There's Matt, and he's wearing orange pants. And I don't think he likes to wear the orange pants, if we're being honest. People pay a lot of attention to it. They stare at the orange pants. They ask him questions about it. It's like Dave in the pink. I borrowed this shirt from Dave. I think it looks better on me than on him. But there is something really important. We're the same size. There's something, that was the joke. There's something really important about practicing standing out, practicing being uncomfortable. Because when that time comes to do something heroic, you're going to have to stand up when everybody else is sitting down. You're going to have to do that thing that is uncomfortable. And the more you practice it when the stakes are low or non-existent, the more likely it is that when the stakes are high, you'll be able to act. The third thing is much harder, admittedly, than the first 2, and that is to expand your sense of empathy. By that, I mean you should notice the humanity in others, and you should practice responding to it. You can start small, and you can build from there. You don't have to start at the top. What I mean by this is you can just start paying attention to the people around you. Everybody is on their devices all the time. I am guilty of this, right? The notifications are going off because I put my Twitter up there, and now everyone's tweeting about how amazing this presentation is, and my phone is just vibrating all the time, and I really want to check it. But I'm not going to because I'm here with you, and I want to be present in this moment, right? And when you are present around other people, you will notice what they need and how you can help. And when you're not present, when you're there but not really there, you will miss the kind of cues that you need if you want to be a helper. So pay attention. Yeah? See what's going on around you. Keep track of the people who are close by. Finally, do small good things. There are lots of ways every day that you can be a helpful person. Right? You can take the shopping cart back for the person who's got their hands full with like 3 kids and they're trying to put them in the car and the weather's bad and they've got the shopping. You're going into the store anyway, and the first thing you're going to do is get a shopping cart. Right? So when you see someone struggling because you're not on your phone, you're paying attention while you're walking through the parking lot. Don't be on your phone walking through the parking lot, right? Take the cart back for them. You're going in anyway. There's an elevator in the building where I work, and it's a terrible elevator. It takes a really long time to go up and down. It's 12 floors, and it takes forever. And if you miss it, right, you can see it closing, and there's people in the elevator, and they're looking at you, and you're looking at them as you rush to try to make it to the elevator, and they don't push the open door button. It's not that they're bad. It's not that they don't like you. It's not that they're trying to make a point. It's that it takes a second to think about whether you should reach out and hold the door. But if you're practicing this, if you're always thinking someone might be rushing to get this elevator, and if they miss it, it's going to take a long time, you'll be quick to push the button. Yeah, be that person. I used to give out candy in the elevator to people who held the door for other people. Just hand them a Hershey's Kiss or whatever. A little thank you. It's to prime them, right? To keep them doing the right thing. The last thing I'll say, and then I'll be done, is that heroism is risky. That's how I began, right? It's only in times of risk. It's only when you have to make a sacrifice. Heroism is risky, and I hope that everybody who hears this talk doesn't have to act heroically. Heroism is necessary when everything around you has gone wrong. And I hope that doesn't happen to you. I hope you're never in that situation. But if you're doing these 4 things that I mentioned, you'll be ready just in case. You'll be more likely to be the person who responds, who acts, if things go wrong, if a hero is required. And if, as I hope, none of you are ever called on to act heroically, you'll still just do a bunch of good things. Right? And that in itself is very worthwhile. So thank you very much.